Hi, welcome back to my channel. I don't think I've ever said my name is. I think I should start saying that. I don't want people to think my name is Chicky Bean. It's just the name of my channel. So I'm gonna start that. And I don't know if I'll ever remember it again, but I'm gonna do it now. So welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna. Mind blown. I'm here to take you through a TBR. If you have been here watching my TBRs this year, you'll know that I've been planning a 25 book stack. January, I successfully read all that, exactly 25 books. February, not so much, no big deal. I plan a 25 book stack, and some of those books are recurring things. I'm reading all of Miss Marple, so there's always an Agatha Christie on my stack. I'm reading the comedies of Shakespeare, so there's always a Shakespeare on my stack. Doing Bean's Big Book Bash, always a big book on my stack. So some of those things are pre-planned, but then whatever space is left over to get to 25, I normally have a round of TBR Jenga, where I pull the tiles, there's a letter on the tile, and I go to those bookshelves, which you've never seen from this angle before, I don't think. I go to those bookshelves and I pull a book that fits the tile until I get to 25 books. There will be no Jenga this month because March Mystery Madness, the Herstoryathon, and Middle Grade March have pushed my pre-planned stack to 40 books. Moment of silence. Now, if you've been with me since last year or the year before, you may know that I, in the past, have often read 40 books in a month. I wasn't going to do that this year. But I think that it's okay to make an exception for March because thrillers, mysteries, and middle grade books, I can read them so quickly. So I don't think that it's going to be a whole lot of extra reading time, even though it is almost double, just shy of double of my intention for a maximum amount of books read. There's not a lot of super heavy books to be read this month on my stack. In fact, even my Bean's Big Book Bash book is a romance novel. So I'm not too freaked out about having 40 books on my stack this month. And I'll go back in April to 25. And yeah, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it, and we feel no shame. And you know what? If we don't read them all, so what? Part of the fun of TBRs is the planning, and I'm just going to do it and see how much I can actually get done and still remain happy and healthy and well-rounded. So here we go. I let my sixth graders pick a book for me to read for middle grade March for each of the 5 prompts. So I gave them access to a stack of possibilities in February, and I let them choose. I let them vote, and this is what they chose for me. So for the contemporary book, they chose Coup by Kayla Noel. And this is a book that is told from the perspective of the pigeon. I am very curious about this book and excited that they picked it. For the book that is older than me, I am super surprised by what they picked. They had all kinds of options, and they picked Little Lord Fauntleroy by Frances Hodgson Burnett, the author of The Secret Garden and A Little Princess. They picked this, I asked them why, they picked this because of the synopsis, which basically says there's a little boy who finds out that he inherits a bunch of money. He goes to England, and then his identity is questioned, and so his friends back in New York, where he's from, have to come to his defense. I mean, that sounds great. Not entirely sure that's exactly what it's about, but that's what they told me. And then they said that the cover was so cute with him sitting at this big table all by himself. They had so many options. They picked Little Lord Fauntleroy. So that is what I will be reading for my book that is older than me. They picked this for the 5-word title, and I have to say this is one of the books they were the most excited about. That is The School for Good and Evil. I guess she comes to the school and assumes she's going to be going to the school for good, and she comes to the school and assumes she's going to be going to the school for evil, but I think in reality they have to switch identities or something like that. There's a mix-up of some sort, I'm not sure, but the kids were raving about the whole series, and they said that I will love it. So I'm going to go for that. For the Asian setting or representation, they picked Linda Sue Park's Prairie Lotus, which is about a girl who is, I believe, half Chinese, half Caucasian. I think her father is white and an American, and her mother was Chinese. Her mother has died, and she and her father are going west, or maybe they already were west. I read some of this previously and did not finish reading it. I did not DNF it. It just kind of evaporated from my awareness. When I told the kids that, they were appalled. I don't think they've read this book, but I also, they could not fathom not finishing a book. This is the one they picked, and I think that's why. And then for Orphan, and I'm not entirely sure this truly will be an orphan story, but I think it is. She could have one of her parents still alive, or maybe they're just missing. I don't know. I didn't want to read too much about it because it is a mystery and a puzzle book. It has puzzles in it. Think like Winter House. I didn't read a whole lot about it, but I do know that she is not with her parents. And so this is the Swallowtail Legacy, Wreck at Ada's Reef. I actually had this as a pre-order, so I couldn't give the kids this physical copy because it hadn't come yet by the time they needed to vote. And so I actually just gave them the synopsis and a color printout of the cover, and they picked it based on that. They are big fans of puzzle books, and so I'm sure that that had something to do with it. But that is what they picked for me to read for the orphan category. Now, there were a bunch of books that they didn't pick, some of which, that's fine, just stick them back on my shelf. I'll get to them at some other point, and some of which I really want to get to this month. So I additionally picked several books. I am going to read Malcolm Saville's Jane's Country Year. This is a reissue of a book from 1940 about a young girl who leaves the city to go to the country, I think because she's been sick, or I know it takes place in World War II, so maybe it's because of bombings and things like that. Not really totally sure, but I have wanted to read this. I did give this to them as an option for a book that was older than me. They picked Little Lord Fauntleroy over this. I think this is maybe the least enticing cover that could possibly have been printed for a group of 6th graders. Yeah, definitely marketed for adults, but that's okay. I will read that one. I want to get to Our Castle by the Sea. This also takes place during World War II, but I believe there's an element of magical realism or maybe even just straight up fantasy in this. I do believe that she is, or will learn that she is, part of a secret society or a secret sisterhood or something like that. And I do think that there is an element of magic to this book. I want to read Thimble Summer by Elizabeth Inwright. I ordered this at the end of last March because I heard somebody talk about it. I don't know who. I heard somebody talking about it, and I thought, okay, I want to read that next year for middle grade March. The kids didn't pick this one for a book that's older than me. I believe it was written during or just after the Depression. It did win the Newbery Award. I'm looking forward to reading it. I think she finds a thimble and it brings her good luck, or she thinks it brings her good luck. It sounds lovely to me, and I really wanted to get to it. I've been waiting to read it for a year. Then I want to read The Gilded Girl, which sounds like a retelling or a nod to A Little Princess. She was rich. She loses her family. Somehow she attends this magical school. If you look at the cat, the shadow is a dragon. I love that. And she loses her money, she loses her family, and so she's demoted to a working student, or even maybe just a maid, I'm not exactly sure, and a maid has to teach her how to survive. And then finally, I want to read Ophi's Ghost by Justina Ireland. This is by the same author as Dread Nation, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this. I do enjoy that series, that YA series about zombies, etc. This one, I do think that she literally sees ghosts. It takes place in the 1920s. She is moving with her family from Georgia up north, and I think she sees ghosts. That's all I know about it, and I am sold. Then two books that fit both my choices for no libraries. Both of my choices for my birthday book haul. Sorry. Then two books that do double duty. They're from my library book haul, so they're two of my three choices for my library book haul read, and they are also middle grade. I gave these to the kids as books they could pick for me. They did not pick them, but I picked them for myself. I'm going to read Melissa Harrison's by Rowan and You and by Ash, Oak, and Thorn. They're so beautiful. They're just such absolutely beautiful books. I think that these are maybe geared toward 8 or 9-year-olds, and so the kids were not attracted to them, although they did like the covers, but I don't think they were attracted to the story, which is very natural fairy tale fable oriented, and I don't think that appealed to them very much just because of their age, but I am really excited to read those. And my next birthday choice will take us into March Mystery Madness. So this is a book that I got for my birthday haul. I'm really excited to read it. It's the first in this series. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I am very much looking forward to starting the series. I think I'm going to love it, and I think I'm going to read them all, but I only purchased the first book thus far. It is a mystery, so I'm reading it for my birthday book haul choice, but also I'm reading it because of March. And so that is A Quiet Life in the Country by T.E. Kinsey. It is a Lady Hardcastle mystery, and it is the first in the series. I do believe that Lady Hardcastle maybe was a detective or something, and now she's trying to retire, and that's not possible. I think her maid is her sidekick. So looking forward to reading that. Then I have two YA mysteries that have been on my shelf for a while. One is this one, Truly Devious, which I did start reading as a read aloud with 8th graders multiple years ago, and we didn't finish it, and I've never finished it. I was enjoying it. I do remember quite a lot about it, but I'll start the book over from the beginning. I liked the dual timeline, and I liked the present more than the past, which is rare for me. I usually enjoy, if there's a dual timeline, I usually enjoy what's happening in the past more than the present. And so I'm looking forward to finally reading this. If you've been watching my TBRs, you'll know that I tried to put this on January, but changed my mind at the last minute. So it's been in the forefront of my mind for a while. I decided March is the time. And then this one, I just have seen everybody rave about it. So not a super big Holly Jackson fan. I've read other books by Holly Jackson and just didn't really get into them. And so I am looking forward to reading this one because so many people that I know and respect as readers have enjoyed it. So we'll see how that goes for me. That is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And if I enjoy this, then I will pick up the rest of the series. I hear it's quite consumable. Now this one, this next one is one I never thought I would read. I never thought that I would pick up a book by this author. Everything about everything that I hear about this author makes me know that I will not enjoy their books. But I think this book is a little bit different. And that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I am never going to pick up this woman's romance novels. Everything I have heard anybody ever say about them makes me know deep in my soul I would hate them. But I know this isn't one of her romance novels. This is a thriller. I believe it's the only thriller that she's written. And I am intrigued. I am intrigued. And then my sister randomly one day was like, hey, have you read Verity by Colleen Hoover? Somebody at my workplace was reading it and I'm curious. That was all I needed. I ordered it that day, giving in. I'm reading it. Verity by Colleen Hoover, but don't expect to see any other Colleen Hoover. Even if I love Verity, I am not dipping into her romance novels. I feel I would hate them. So, but I'm willing to give Verity a try. And then, of course, this fits for March Mystery Madness as well. This is my Agatha Christie for the month. This is The Moving Finger, my third Miss Marple. I loved The Body in the Library last month. I loved it so much. I had some background knowledge of both Murder at the Vicarage and Body in the Library. This one, I have no background knowledge. None. Completely unknown to me. Have absolutely no idea what it's about. Haven't read the back of it. No, nothing. Except that it's Miss Marple, and that it's Agatha Christie, and that I'm excited to read it. But it also counts for March Mystery Madness. And then, I have so many books, arcs, and books that I saw sitting on my Kindle that I am going to read this month for March Mystery Madness. So let's go through those. And I'll just stick up images over here. First of all, there is, and I have my computer open because I have the list in front of me here. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. But I have Jane and the Unpleasantness at Hargrave Manor, which is the first book in a series. I think there's 17 books in the series, in which Jane Austen is a sleuth of some sort. And so I'm excited to start that. And then I have this arc, The Murder of Mr. Wickham. Who doesn't want to witness the murder of Mr. Wickham? This is Wickham of Pride and Prejudice fame. This is the dastardly slimeball, Jane Austen term, slimeball. Really excited to read this one. It is, like I said, an arc. I don't know a whole lot about it. I requested it based completely on the title. Then I have this arc, which is The Secrets of Summer House by Rachel Burton. This will be exactly what you think it will be. It will be a completely, entirely consumable book that I read once very quickly and enjoy, probably figure out before it's over. I like those kinds of mysteries, those kinds of thrillers, and so I'm into it. Then I have this one, which I found on my Kindle. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's a Kindle Unlimited or if it's something that I bought for 99 cents at some point in the past, but I have The Matchmaker by Halene Vermont. I don't know what it's about. It says perfect lives don't come cheap. I'm cool with it. It's going to be what The Secret of Summer House is. It's one of those consumable. Read it very quickly, never read it again, probably never think about it again, but enjoy the experience in that moment. I have this as an arc from NetGalley, The Hidden Child by Rebecca Griffiths. I actually have this as an audio arc, and so I will be listening to that. It too will be very much like The Secrets of Summer House and The Matchmaker. And again, I'm cool with that. I do enjoy those kinds of books from time to time, especially in March when we're doing this readathon. Sitting on my Kindle, and again, I don't know where it came from, but I saw it and I thought that'll be perfect for now. The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher. This is a mystery, and it is a retelling of the story of Bluebeard. Is that right? Bluebeard, the guy who marries the women, tells them they can't go in the room, kills them when they do. The Seventh Bride. Then I have this arc, A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This actually hasn't been released yet, but I know that it was an early release through Book of the Month. So some people have had their hands on this. I am curious about A River Enchanted, and NetGalley gave me an arc to it, and so I'm excited to read it. I haven't read much from the synopsis. I think that it's a mystery. I know it's a fantasy, but I think it is also a mystery or a thriller, and so I'm going to count it. I may read it and realize, no, actually, this is just straight up fantasy. This is not a mystery or a thriller, and that's fine too. But I'm counting it among my March Mystery Madness picks right now because I think it'll fit. And then this one. I'm so excited about this one. Camilla Sten's The Resting Place. Camilla Sten wrote The Village. It is a translated book, I believe, from Swedish. And when I realized that she had another one coming out in English, I immediately pre-ordered it. And then I saw it on NetGalley and I asked for it, and I thought, they're not going to give me this book. I'm small potatoes on NetGalley. And they gave it to me. I couldn't believe it. And so I am super excited to read this. It's one of my most anticipated books of the year. I have access to it right now. I've had access to it since February. I've been dying to begin reading it, and I haven't let myself. I've been very good. So yeah, gonna dive into that. Probably the first book I'll read this month. Now, let's talk about the Herstoryathon. Herstory is a brand new readathon that is being introduced by Charlotte Aquini Reads and somebody else who I don't follow, but I will link everybody down below for Middle Grade March, for March Mystery Madness, and for Herstoryathon. So I wasn't going to do the Herstoryathon, but I realized I actually have access to books that fit. I can actually do a 3-way bingo from their board, so I'm gonna do it. The first book that I'm gonna read for that is The Dark Queens, which is a pre-order that I already had pre-ordered. It is a nonfiction book about 2 females who were queens in the medieval period in Europe. I've heard nothing but great praise about it. I don't know anything else about it. I'm not a big reader of medieval history, so I'm excited about reading this in particular. And it is about 2 women who I know absolutely nothing about and did not know existed. So I'm excited to read it, and it counts for Herstoryathon. I am also going to read this book, which I ordered, not for Herstory, but I just ordered it. I pre-ordered it and was going to read it this month anyway. That is Georgia Pritchett's My Mess is a Bit of a Life. Georgia Pritchett is a British comedy writer, and she contributed to the scripts for the show Miranda, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. And so when I saw that she had written a memoir, of course I wanted to read that. I believe this released in England quite some time ago, but it just made its way to the States. So I'm going to read this, and it fits for Herstory. And then I have this NetGalley arc of In Defense of Witches, which I also believe is out in the UK already, but has not been released in the States yet. I have this arc. It's by Mona Chollet, and I do believe this is also a translated work, maybe from French. I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe it's translated. And this is a history. It's the legacy of the witch hunts and why women are still on trial. So I will read those 3 books. I had them all already. They just happened to fit. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the Herstoryathon. Now I have 2 other pre-orders that I'll read in March. One is this one. So last year I read Fat Chance Charlie Vega by this author, Crystal Maldonado, and I loved Fat Chance Charlie Vega. It is not often that I love a YA romance, but I absolutely did. And so when I saw that she had a second book coming out, that Fat Chance Charlie Vega was this author's debut novel. When I saw that she had a second book coming out, I pre-ordered it, and that is No Filter and Other Lies. Would you lie online for clout? So I am excited to read that one. Oh, and then my other, I don't have a physical copy of it, so I almost forgot. I have this pre-order coming, Gallant by V.E. Schwab, or Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I believe this is a standalone fantasy by Schwab. Technically, this is arriving on March 1st, so technically I should be reading it in April as a pre-order, but I know I won't be able to wait. So I'm just putting it on this stack. I just am. I only had those 4 pre-orders that came in February. or March. And so I just have the 4 books to read, and they all fit other things except for No Filter and Other Lies, which will be a super quick read. Then for Shakespeare this month, I'm reading All's Well That Ends Well. For my reread, I'm reading The Other Side of the Sun by Madeleine L'Engle. This is a book that takes place right after the Civil War. It is an adult book. I know we think of Madeleine L'Engle as a young adult author or a children's author. She wrote Wrinkle in Time, but she wrote beautiful adult novels as well as poetry and essays, nonfiction, and I have read almost everything that this woman has written and published. I consider her one of my top 5 favorite authors of all time. And this is a book that I read when I was a teenager multiple times and truly, truly love. But I haven't read it in decades. And so I am going to give it another go and see how I love it now as an adult. The Other Side of the Sun by Madeleine L'Engle. I am really looking forward to that. Bean's Big Book Bash this month is Amber, Forever Amber by Kathleen Windsor, with a foreword by Barbara Taylor Bradford, because this, my friends, is a romance novel. Coming in at just shy, but 30 pages shy of 1,000 pages. This, in comparison to the first 2 books that we read for Bean's Big Book Bash, is small potatoes. Also, the words, the print is such a nice normal size, such a nice normal large size. So this is going to feel like a breath of fresh air, I think. This is considered a bodice ripper, maybe the first bodice ripper, I'm not sure. I have a whole stack of history, like contextual stuff I want to read. I know it takes place during the Renaissance. I know that it was influenced by, or it influenced, Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. And there are other things about it, which I am not entirely sure about, but that I will know by the end. This is a book that I'm very excited to read, and also a little bit intimidated, but not because of the length or the size, but because, well, maybe the length, but not the length in and of itself. The length because it is a romance. So we'll see how that goes. I do think it's a romance in the way that, like, Gone with the Wind is a romance, though, and I do believe it's tragic in its ending, but I'm not sure how. We'll see. We'll see. That's Bean's Big Book Bash pick. Then I also have 2 books from the 52 American Library Association recommendations journal reading list that I got for Christmas, that I will be reading this month, and they are This Is How You Lose Her, and I don't know how to say that name, Diaz, so I will say that one, by Diaz. I know that this author is a very, very famous and influential author. I know that this book is a very well-known and respected book. I don't think it's well-loved, but I could be wrong about that. But I do think it's well-respected. And I have never read it, and I've never read anything by this author. So thought it was time to remedy that when I saw it on the ALA list. The second book from the ALA list that I will be reading is Evicted, Poverty and Profit in the American City. This won the Pulitzer Prize for Matthew Desmond. And so I'm sure this will be eye-opening, enlightening, and I'm looking forward to reading that. And then I have 2 books to read for the Read Harder Challenge. I don't remember what category this falls under or what prompt this is fulfilling, but I know that it's for the Read Harder Challenge. And it is Colors of Nature, Culture, Identity, and the Natural World. This is a series of essays by a diverse population of people, authors, some known, some not known, about cultural connection to nature. It is nature writing. It is ecological writing through a often ignored lens of culture and race. So I'm excited. I'm excited to read it. It is going to be a challenging read. I think it's the most challenging read that I have for the entire month. So it'll be awesome. And then the other one I know is to read an adult nonfiction graphic novel, is to read a nonfiction graphic novel. This also was a birthday order for me, and although it looks like a children's book, it's actually extremely detailed. And so I will be reading this to fulfill that. It is a translated work, which I'm excited about. It covers, I think, 100 years of Russian history by looking at the real life apartment and the inhabitants of that apartment, who are ancestors, for the most part. I think the original people are ancestors of the authors. And again, this is translated from the Russian. So there's so much to love about this, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then finally, I have a book that doesn't really fit on my TBR, but every other month or every 3 months or so, every other month at this point, I'm going to sneak on a Rosamond Pilcher because I'm still riding the high of January's read of Winter Solstice, and I have a bunch of titles by her that I ordered from Better World Books that I want to read. My stack this month is a very large, as you know. I've just told you 39 books. Well, wait, I didn't tell you 39 books because there's a couple more on here that I need to tell you about. But I just told you almost 39 books. And I still I'm craving a Pilcher. I didn't read one in February. So I picked the smallest one I have, and that is Wild Mountain Thyme. And I predict I will read this very early on in the month and probably watch the movie, which I haven't watched yet. And I know that's out. It has Emily Blunt in it, I think. And so I'm excited to go ahead and dive into that. Additionally, I have both the audio and the ebook arcs of Reputation by Lex Croucher. This is, again, another one that I know has been out in the UK for a while. It has not yet been released here in the States. I've heard mixed things about this. I want to see for myself, so I'm going to give it a try. I do hear that it is very, very mean, that the characters are incredibly cruel, to the point that some people who I do think of as kind of sarcastic and mean people themselves have told me that they found it too mean. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I'm going to give it a try. Like I said, I have both the audio and the ebook arcs of it. I requested both, thinking I'd get access to one, and I got access to both. So I will probably listen to the audio of this one. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. You know, that's okay. It's okay. We're okay with DNFing. We're okay with not making it through everything that we want to. And then also at this point, we have not yet determined what my In Real Life Book Club book is. So that is TBD. But there will be one more book that comes into my life next month, which will definitely need to be read because it is for my In Real Life Book Club. And that, my friends, is the entirety of the Alexandrian Library. It's what it kind of feels like. That's my TBR. I'm just jabbering. So I'm going to stop jabbering now, and I am going to go and try to finish my February TBR so that I can do my wrap-up. I have brand new questions for my wrap-up teacup. Brand new questions. Except for the question about who would I marry, slap, or be friends with. I thought that was super fun, so I kept that one. Other than that, all the questions are brand new. Anyway, like I said, no joke, I think I have 8 or 9 books left to read for February. I need to get on that and film a wrap-up. I also, be on the lookout this week. There'll be an introductory video to Forever Amber, and there will also be a wrap-up video of War and Peace. Spoiler, I hated War and Peace. Hated it. Greatly disliked it. Seriously did not enjoy it. How did you feel about War and Peace? How did you feel about it? Did you think it was a good one? He thought it was better than I did. So be on the lookout for that wrap up where Joey, my dog, will share his thoughts as well, because he seems to have enjoyed it. I will talk to you all later. Feels weird to end without Jenga. I don't know how to do it. Bye.